All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Saturday. Happy Saturday to everyone out there. July 22nd. We got a full MLB slate to jump into today. We're gonna go through each and every game like we always do. I'll give you my lean or leans on the games, but all my final plays, those will be in the pinned comment. Coming off of a 2-2 night. That marks two 2-2 nights in a row here, so we gotta be better than that. The Nationals come through for us. We almost took them on the money line, which would have resulted in some green for the day, but we kind of pushed out and gave the run line there at +1.5. Still hit though, -118 over on FanDuel, 118, and then the Reds money line cashes for -115. Rangers let us down, and then Nolan Arenado. I got greedy here. I wanted to do hits, runs, and RBIs, but it was like -140, -135. And I was like, nah, let's look at the bases, -105. Greedy Ev, and it kills us. He had 2 RBIs, 1 hit, 1 base. But nonetheless, guys, we look to bounce back tonight, which I've said in 2 straight videos now, so don't totally love that, but I will say pretty pumped and pretty excited to release this ride of the day here. Let's go. Let's get the crowd noise pumped in. Frankie comes in with Joe Ryan to record a win for +160. He cashes, and that breaks the streak of 3 rides of the day in a row that did not cash for us. So shout out to Frankie. Everyone give Frankie some love in the comments. And if you guys do want to become the ride of the day, all you got to do is drop an absolute lock in the comments using the hashtag ride of the day like Frankie did, and I'll be jumping on board with 1 person in the comments, and then you guys will get a shout out in the next video, win or loss. Let's try and make it another dub in a row, guys. All right, before we get into the video, I do want to ask you guys to smash that subscribe button and smash that like button, guys. Hit it out of the park, and also go ahead and check out the Fade Me storefront that we have right now. Again, we just kind of officially launched this a couple days ago, and you guys have really been rocking and rolling with it, so I really appreciate the support as of late. Still plenty of products over there as of right now, and we got a promo going on as of right now. I feel like I've said as of right now 18 times, but we got a promo going on. If you buy any product, you get a hat 50% off. I think it brings the hat price down to like $12.50, so make sure to go check it out, guys. Buy anything, a t-shirt, a hoodie, and you get a hat if you add it to your cart for 50% off. Go check it out, guys. That link is going to be in the description as well as the pinned comment, or you can just go to fademe.store. Game number 1 on today's slate is going to be the Yankees taking on the Royals here. Garrett Cole on the mound for the Yankees, going up against Brady Singer for the Royals here. Yankees get the win yesterday in a 5-4 fashion here with Clark Schmidt on the mound. I do think that this is obviously, kind of a tough game to talk about. Doesn't really matter. If you look at the money line, Yankees are just a parlay throw in, something like that. But if you do want to consider the Yankees on the run line, which I do not hate, is where it could get interesting. I do think that the Yankees, though they haven't been that great, they're not scoring many runs. Definitely post All-Star break have not really scored many runs. The bats haven't been hot. They are, trotting out one of the best pitchers, if not the best pitcher in the league right now, talent-wise. So I could consider the Yankees at -1.5 here on the run line. In terms of the total, if I think that, Garrett Cole's going to go out there and do his thing, and I like the Yankees on the run line, I expect them to shut down the Royals. So if it's going to be a one-sided affair, not like yesterday where it was a close game, I do lean towards the under 8 runs as of right now. But keep an eye on the pin comment to see if it becomes any sort of a final play. Again, this Royals team, obviously they're always fadeable, and especially with the Yankees having Garrett Cole, you can kind of trust them. But the Yankees haven't been the Yankees as of late. So nonetheless, still do think that, it's worth considering Yankees on the run line and then the under. But I don't know if those become a final play. Keep an eye on the pin comment. All right, Marlins taking on the Rockies here. This is the thing that killed our Friday parlay. We had a 4-leg Friday parlay. The Marlins, the only leg to not hit here. They catch a 6-1 loss yesterday. I just can't speak in today's video, but I guess we're riding with it. Lost yesterday, but on the mound today, Johnny Cueto for the Marlins, who only has 1 start this season, got shelled around, going up against Chase Anderson here. This is a tough one because I do think that the Miami Marlins do bounce back, but it's like, how much stock do you want to put into it, and how much trust can you put into it? My answer, not much, especially at -165 here on the money line. Don't really love that, but what I do like in this game, and I could actually see hitting, is going to be the over 8.5. So if Colorado's bats stay hot from yesterday, right, if you want to call them hot, 6 runs scored, I do think Miami comes with a little bit more juice today, obviously, and doesn't just score 1 run again, so I'm going to lean towards the over, but hopefully you guys can tell in my voice this isn't the most sexy series in my brain, especially with the pitchers on the mound today. Don't love picking a side. I think Miami bounces back, but not that price tag of -165, and in terms of the total, yeah, I do like the over. I do think that both these teams can put up, a minimum, 4 runs today, which all we need is another one on either side to cash the over, but it's a slight lean, and I'll be completely honest, it is a slight lean. All right, next game up, we got the Cubs taking on the Cardinals, and I'm glad we didn't touch this game yesterday. I told you guys in the video that, it's kind of weird that the Cardinals weren't favored, even with the pitching and all that type of thing. And the Cubs end up winning that one 4-3 yesterday, so good thing we read the line there. Not that we pulled the trigger on a final play, but it does, it did enable us to kind of stick away from it and fade the game entirely because the Cardinals, red-hot team going up against the Cubs, who had been inconsistent, yet the Cubs are favored, so stuck away from it. My honestly, gut reaction, like I told you in yesterday's video, would have been, oh my god, let's get the Cardinals at plus money. No, that was a bait spot, and I bet Vegas profited plenty from that yesterday. Today's a little bit different of a story here. The Cubs are underdogs at home, and the Cardinals are minus 120 here on the money line, which is going to be our lean. Miles Mikolas on the mound for them, going up against Fulmer for the Cubs. Mikolas has a 4.14 ERA and a 6-5 record. Fulmer has a 4.43 ERA and a 1-4 record. I just think that this Cardinals team that was hot, still probably is hot. If they lose this game, maybe I start to reconsider their trajectory here, but it's just one loss yesterday. Still one of the hotter teams in baseball as of right now. Prior to that, they had won, it was like 8 of their last 9 games prior to that loss. So I still think that, they have what it takes, I guess, in a sense of especially just kind of winning this one money line wise. So minus 120, I'll take those odds. Losing yesterday, I think then helps us get better odds on the Cardinals today because Fulmer on the mound for the Cubs, not like, he's any sort of stud or anything like that. So give me the Cardinals. And then in terms of the total, 9.5. Yesterday we saw a 4-3 game. And prior to this, the Cardinals were scoring a bunch of runs. So I guess by default, if I think they're going to kind of get back to being that red hot team, red Cardinal, no pun intended, I do think that this is a spot where they can go out there and score, 6-7 runs if they kind of get back to what I'm thinking they're going to. So I'm going to lean towards the over ever so slightly, but main lean in this game is going to be Cardinals on the money line here from minus 120 over on DraftKings as of right now. All right, next up, we have Texas taking on the Dodgers. Texas burned us last night, or I should say the Dodgers burned us last night, putting up an 11 spot against Texas and an 11-5 win today. Texas plus 110 on the money line here. It's tempting, and I do love this Texas team, but you can't bet against the Dodgers right now. They're just playing really good baseball, winning 8 of their last 10 games. Texas on a hot streak as well, but after that 11-run game yesterday, I don't think that, I can kind of fade the Dodgers here. So give me the Dodgers on the money line, minus 125, and then also the over. I really like the over. It's arguably my favorite spot in this game. Yes, we have 2 good pitchers on the mound. Dane Dunning, 8-2 record with a 2.82 ERA for the Texas Rangers, and then Bobby Miller on the mound for the Dodgers, 5-1 with a 4.2 ERA. Good pitchers on the mound. I still think these offenses, it's kind of like it don't matter who's pitching, we're going to score a bunch of runs. So my main lean in this one is going to be over 9.5. I wish it was sitting at 9 like it opened at. You can even see it in the graphic now. I can't find a 9 anywhere. So if you can find 9 at any sports books, go ahead and pull the trigger on that because it's moving in the opposite direction. So if you can get over 9, I think it is a solid play here. These two teams, just powerhouses right now. Dodgers last 4 games have hit the over as well, and we know what Texas is capable of. They've been scoring plenty of runs even against Tampa Bay. That last series, they had 5 runs scored in 2 of those games. Just Tampa Bay didn't score any runs, so they would be hitting overs if Tampa Bay had been trending as well, right? So give me the over 9.5. Cashed with ease yesterday. The Dodgers did it themselves. It's gonna be my main lean, and then again, I can't get in the way of the freight train that seems to be what the Dodgers are kind of gearing up towards as of right now. Now they're not this powerhouse in a sense that they're not losing any games. They've dropped a couple as of late. They dropped one to the Mets. They dropped them to Baltimore, right? At the last game in the series where they're probably kind of tired of whooping them. But nonetheless, I still think that they are sort of that, freight train kind of gearing up and getting faster and faster. Give me them on the money line. And then also, like I said, obviously main lean in this one is going to be the over 9.5. All right, Reds taking on Arizona. We don't have a starter for Arizona yet. No odds or total out as well. Yesterday, Cincinnati comes through for us. They win 9-6. I would say that I'm leaning that direction again, but I'd like to know who is pitching for the Diamondbacks before we even go into it. So keep an eye on the pin comment to see if we roll with anything in this game. All right, Seattle taking on the Blue Jays here. Gosman on the mound for the Blue Jays. He's got a 7-5 record with a 3.03 whip. Logan Gilbert on the mound for the Mariners, 8-5 with a 3.65 ERA. Here, I do think that this is just such a good spot for the Mariners for plus 118 right now. They opened up even longer odds. Plus 118 still available over on Caesars right now. Yes, Gosman is filthy, and I love him, right? But the Blue Jays are trash right now. They are hot garbage, not playing very good baseball. In fact, if you just look at the runs that they've scored as of late, let me run through their last 4 games here. 1 run, 0 runs, Then they scored 4 runs, and then they scored 2 runs in yesterday's game. They're just not putting bats on the ball. And going up against Gilbert, who I do think has a good chance to fare well against them today. So give me Seattle for the plus money. If you can still find it where it opened up at plus 125 there, go ahead and hammer it, guys. I'm definitely strongly considering this for a final play over at plus 118 on Caesars. In terms of the total 7.5 runs, I know I just said that, I don't think that this Blue Jays team has the offense at all right now, so I'm going to kind of stick to what my guns here and lean towards the under, even though it is such a low total at 7.5, but I don't think we pull the trigger on that because it is so low. So it's like, I'm not going to consider the over because of how, hot garbage the Blue Jays have been and how much money they've lost in the last week, right? So I get that, but it doesn't mean that I look at the under, because at any point, 7.5 runs seems too doable for both these teams, even if one of them is in the slump. So sticking away from the total, I would lean towards the under, but it's just too low for me to actually be confident and pull the trigger on. All right, Tampa Bay gets the dub yesterday against Baltimore, winning 3-0. Now they have McClanahan on the mound, 11-1 with a 2.56 ERA. Needs no introduction. Guy's an absolute beast. Grayson Rodriguez on the mound for the Orioles, 2-2 with a 7.33 ERA. Not exactly the same stat line as Shane McClanahan, but I do like the Rays to win this one again, but unfortunately they're at minus 170 odds, which kind of is outside of the juice being worth the squeeze. So I lean them on the money line, maybe in some sort of a parlay or something like that, because I do think that they're getting back. I'm not going to say the Rays are back, but I think they're getting to that point. Big win yesterday. Orioles obviously didn't want to just roll over and die, especially with the divisional matchup. So, the Rays had to work for that one, and they end up winning 3-0. So, a good, tight, close game for them that they grind out here after losing game 1 of the series 2. Give me them on the money line. Again, some sort of a parlay throw-in. And then the over-under here is set at 7.5. We've seen both these teams kind of struggling to score as of late. So I'm going to kind of trust what we're seeing, the eyeball test, and the fact that we have a really good pitcher on the mound on one side here. I'm going to go with the under 7.5. Kind of crazy, but I could see this one again being, like a 4-2 or a 3-2 or a 4-3 at max type of a game, which would still catch the under. All right, next up, we got the Tigers taking on the Padres yesterday. Padres win this one 5-4. We don't know who's pitching for the Padres yet, but I do still like them in this spot. Matt Manning's going up against, going on the mound for the Tigers here. He's been decent in spots, so I don't want to, rag on him too much, but I still think that the Padres are the better ball club. So I'm going to lean towards them, but I want to know who's pitching before we make any sort of a final play here. And the total sitting at 10 runs, which seems very high, jumped up an entire run from yesterday. So I'm going to look at the under here. Yesterday, the total landed at 9. It finished 5-4. I'm not exactly sure why this would kind of increase there to 10. So I'm going to look at the under 10 runs here. But again, we have a lot of question marks still, especially who is pitching for the Fathers. All right, Nationals cashed for us yesterday. They win that one outright. They were huge underdogs, and they're underdogs again at plus 168. Josiah Gray on the mound for them today. 6-8 record with a 3.59 ERA. Going up against Logan Webb, who you got to trust today. I'm going to lean towards the Giants here. Logan Webb 8-7 with a 3.32 ERA. The only issue is that they're minus 190. Way too much juice to be paying, so I'm probably going to stick away from this one. Again, yesterday was a 5-3 game, and San Francisco really hasn't been scoring that many runs, but prior to the break, or even when they were on that hot streak, a couple weeks before the break, remember how many runs they were scoring? I'm going to think that they get back to that and get to Josiah Gray today. So I'm going to look at the over 8.5 runs. They were right there yesterday. Washington did their job. San Francisco doesn't really come through and score a bunch of runs in terms to this line. So I do think that this is a spot where they score a little bit more today. So give me the over here, but altogether, not really, I wouldn't say that I'm 110% confident in anything we're looking at in this game. Again, I like the Giants, but they're minus 190. Probably not going to make that a final play. And I like the over, but the Giants don't have the recent track record to prove, that should be a lock or anything like that. And we're talking about the Nationals here. It's not a guarantee that they go out there and do their part. So hopefully you guys just understand my level of confidence in this one. Barely there, but I do think that, if the Giants bounce back and win, I think they bounce back and score a lot of runs and then they win prior to doing that. I don't think they grind out like a 3-2 win today. If they do bounce back, which I assume they will, I think they're going to score a lot of runs. All right, Red Sox taking on the Mets here. Paxton on the mound for the Sox, Scherzer on the mound for the Mets. I would like the Red Sox in this spot, even with Scherzer, but you guys know, if you watch every day, you know how I feel about these sort of like games suspended. It rolls into the next day, or double headers, that type of thing. Weird situation. Obviously, the game gets suspended yesterday, so I'm probably going to pass on this game altogether because I just don't like betting on stuff that's such an unknown, which is the case when you have double headers or games that roll into the next day because of rain and blah, blah, blah. So, if this wasn't in a vacuum and we didn't have that situation, I do think Paxton's going to be able to deal today against Scherzer, and I would also like the under 9 runs because 2 good pitchers on the mound, but kind of some outliers there in terms of, the situation. That's probably going to make me pass this game altogether. All right, next up, we got the Guardians taking on the Phillies here. And I think this Phillies team, they're kind of trending downward, but I don't think they lose 2 in a row to the Guardians here. They lose 6-5 yesterday. They do have Zach Wheeler on the mound today, who has been decent. I would use that word. He's pitching late into games, letting up a couple runs here and there. 7-4 record with a 3.96 ERA, going up against Tanner Beebe, who I rarely fade, but I think that there is some value on the Philly side. I don't think they lose 2 in a row, and if they do, it's kind of like an official, all right, you guys are trending downwards, you're heading down, because altogether this team was really hot. Now they've only won, I think it's like 4 of their last 10 games. They've lost 3 straight games. Kind of a tough spot if they're not ready to go out there and kind of bounce back. So I'm kind of declaring it. If they lose this game, Phillies in the dumps, but I don't think that they lose 2 in a row here. Give me the Phillies on the money line, -120 right now over on FanDuel, and I also like the over 8 runs. Again, I usually don't fade Tanner Beebe, but I think that this is going to be a game in which Philly could score a decent amount of runs in. And I think, Cleveland's going to try and keep up with them. We've seen Cleveland scoring a bunch of runs as of late. You can't really fade that offense, so give me the over here at 8 runs. I think it's a really good spot. All right, next up, we got the Brewers taking on the Braves. We don't know who's pitching for the Braves yet. I don't know if it's totally going to matter. This Braves team, even though they're kind of on the slide, I think that this is sort of a get-right series for them. They win the last game against Arizona, come in, win 6-4 yesterday. I think that they win this one again for -136 over on FanDuel on the money line. In terms of the total 9.5, I don't know if Milwaukee's going to be able to keep up with the pace that, comes with the Braves today. So I'm going to lean towards the under 9.5. I can see this one being very similar to yesterday, only like a 5-3, maybe 1 run difference, 5-4 type of a game, which would cash the under here. But we don't know who's pitching for Atlanta yet, so keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on the pin comment to see if we end up rolling with anyone. If they throw a schmuck out there, then we probably end up tossing the game out, but we shall see. Keep an eye on that pin comment. All right, Minnesota taking on the White Sox. Before we get into that game, guys, if you're still watching at the 16-minute mark right now, make sure to drop 16 in the comments. Let me know that you are a real one, and the guppies don't know what the numbers are about because they don't make it this far into the video. They just check the comments. Drop 16 in the comments if you are still watching. We got the Twins taking on the White Sox. Twins get the dub yesterday. More importantly, we'll give another cha-ching. Our ride of the day cashes again, and because, Frankie broke the streak, we'll give him another shout-out. Shout-out to Frankie for breaking the streak there. +160 as well. But guys, yeah, Minnesota obviously wins yesterday. If the pitcher wins, you got to assume the team wins, but 9-4 was the final score here. 2 good pitchers on the mound today, though. You have Sonny Gray on the mound for the Twins and Dylan Cease on the mound for the White Sox. Main lean in this one is going to be the under. I like the spot. It's 8. I wish it was at 8.5. Yesterday, I believe it was 8.5, then closed at 8, so worked its way right back to this number. But give me the under there. In terms of a money line play, though, I still like Minnesota, but I don't like betting against Cease, even though he hasn't had the best of seasons, so far. He is still a really talented pitcher. He had a really good start. I believe it was either his last start or the start before against Atlanta, in which that team took the win. He really shut them out for like 6 innings. So hate fading him, but this Minnesota team is playing good baseball. I think in their last 7 games or so, they've won 5 or 6 of them. Don't have that up in the notes, but nonetheless, playing good baseball altogether. So give me the Twins here, but I like the under probably more than anything in this game today. Well, surprise, surprise, Houston beats Oakland yesterday, and now kind of in the same spot again today. Houston -190, huge favorites here. I don't really hate them on the run line today either. They have cashed that now twice in this series. You're getting -115 odds as well, so I guess I slightly lean towards Houston on the run line, but altogether, don't really love this spot. It's a lot of money to be paying, especially on the money line, but even the run line where, this Houston team, though they've covered twice in this series, were not doing that prior to. They're winning games by 1 or losing them or winning by 1 type of thing. So, I'm not all that confident in it, but I do think that is the safest play because this Oakland team stinks. In terms of the total 8 runs, Houston scored 6 yesterday. I don't see any reason why they'd slow down today going up against Blackburn. He's got a 5.48 ERA, so give me the over again, but it's really going to come down and fall on the shoulders of Houston to score a bunch of runs again, and whether or not that happens, we shall see. But I like Houston on the run line as well as the over, but it's the Oakland A's. We're just kind of fading them. All right, Angels get the dub yesterday. They're now huge favorites heading into this one at -185 with Dietmers on the mound for them today. And Brookie, I don't really know much about this guy pitching for the Pirates, but nonetheless, I cannot afford paying $180 for the Angels today. So I'm going to pass on the side here. I'm going to look at the over 9.5, which, yes, it's a high total, but even with decent pitchers on the mound yesterday, we did see an 8-5 game. And this Pittsburgh team, though they've struggled to score runs, are letting up a bunch of runs. So they've been cashing overs left and right, and the Angels have been scoring a lot of runs as of late as well. So we're trusting that things kind of stay the same here. I don't want to, bet on the Angels at -185. That's crazy to me. I think it's such an overrated price tag, but I don't hate the over here, 9.5. It opened up at 9. I wish we pulled the trigger then, but 9.5 now in most sportsbooks. If you can get it at 9, go ahead. But nonetheless, that is going to be our lean in the game. We don't really love a side here. And guys, that is going to wrap it up for today's video. If you guys do enjoy the videos, if you did enjoy today's video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and we'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.